Hello and welcome to Marketing Speak. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, and today it's my pleasure to have Liam Austin with us. Liam is the co-founder of Entrepreneurs HQ and a virtual event strategist, having launched over 15 virtual summits, dozens of quick workshops, and many more online events, hosting over 400 speakers while educating 100,000 business owners through his programs. Liam is also the creator of the $1 Million Virtual Summit program, where he partners with select clients to generate seven figures. Liam, it's so great to have you on the show.
Yeah, Stephan, thanks very much for inviting me on.
So we know each other from joint venture mastermind JVMM, a mastermind we're both in, and I've been on one of your virtual summits as a speaker. That was several years ago. What is it about virtual events that make them so appealing, so lucrative, and so evergreen?
Yeah, I think it's just that it's packaged in such a way that it feels like it's an event. Right? I mean, excusing the pun, but like when you package it in such a way that it's exciting, that it becomes an event, people are more inclined to opt in. So when we're typically marketing something, for instance, like I started off doing these weekly kind of pop-up events, if you like, where I had one expert speaker come and talk on one specific topic. And through that, I was getting 20, 30% kind of opt-in rate for people signing up to attend that event. And then when we packaged up and just put it as a virtual summit where there was multiple speakers across multiple days, specific dates, all these bonuses attributed to it as well. Just that package boosted the opt-in rate to between 60 to 75% now we would typically get across the dozens of summits that we've run and hosted personally. So I think it's just like the way we present it and market it and position it in the marketplace.
And how did you end up coming across virtual summits as being a really lucrative platform? Was it by accident, or did you kind of engineer this?
Yeah, well, I've been running events in person since 2007, and I'd been running the International Trade Awards in the UK. I was managing that event. It was a monthly event happening in every county across the UK, culminating in a national final, if you like, awards night that was held at Big Ben, which is actually the House of Lords in London, for Big Ben for our international audience, right? So everyone got introduced and invited via a Lord. So they got a special invitation, a letter from the Lord to come to that event. And we had Royal Bank of Scotland, HSBC as sponsors across the multiple years that we did that. And then when it came to 2014/15, I met my partner, Sarah, and she was Swedish, I was Australian, and I didn't want to be geographically tied anymore. I wanted to be able to travel between Sweden and Australia to visit her family as well as mine back home. Right now, I'm in Sweden visiting her family, and I just thought, well, we need to make money online. That's how we're going to be able to live anywhere and make money wherever we are at any point in time, anywhere in the world. And I went back to the events that I was running in the past and decided, well, there's this online format of running conferences online. Let's see if we can make that work. And Sarah and I really had 2.5 months to earn what we hoped to be like $20,000, so that she didn't have to go and find a 9-to-5 job because her visa was running out. She was on a student visa in Australia, and it was about to expire, so she was going to be kicked out of the country. So we needed to find either her a working visa or start this business and start earning an income. So $20,000 was our goal. We ran our very first event. It was the LinkedIn Success Summit. You can still find it. We've now evergreened that event, so you can get access to that now on demand. But that essentially ended up making $50,000 just in the ticket sales from that event. And yeah, we stumbled upon it by accident in terms of, well, we were aiming for $20,000. It surpassed, those expectations in earning $50,000 US in revenue. In Australia, that was like $70,000 plus at the time. It's like, double or even more than double one of my first paychecks in life at that period. So that was a huge moment, and I just knew from then that we were onto something, and we needed to continue this and improve it and grow it.
Amazing. And so are you still doing in-person events at all, or you've completely given that up?
We're doing everything online now. So sometimes I'll meet up casually or like informally with our clients, but we're not doing anything in person. Everything is run online, and that's partly because our clients are international. We've got Australians, Europeans. Most of our clients are in the US, and so how do we successfully pull together everyone, especially in the time that we're in right now, and with COVID going on? Like, how do people travel? So just in-person events, we haven't done anything in person. I think the flexibility that online provides, like when we started this, being in Australia and being able to interview or get access to expertise around the world without having to attend an event in Los Angeles or New York or wherever it may be. Like, we could do it from the comfort of our home in Australia, in Sydney, or wherever we are in the world. And I think that's the power of virtual events that I've fallen in love with.
Very cool. So how do you get so many ticket sales? Is it a requirement that the speakers have to promote the event or buy a certain number of tickets, or are you actually paying the speakers? How does this work that you get 50,000 plus in just ticket revenue from a virtual event?
Yeah, sure. So there's various ways to do this. My philosophy is that we look at the event as a collaboration event. You're the host, you're the speaker, you're the host, you're the organizer of the event, and we want to bring in other people to improve the event, to grow the event, to make it the best possible event that we can. So how do we look for collaboration partners? I typically look at 4 different collaboration partners: speakers, sponsors, media, and affiliates. I touched on sponsors before, like Royal Bank of Scotland, HSBC. We've even had Vimeo sponsor one of our virtual events. They paid us a 5-figure sum for that, and we over-delivered because I've been working in the online advertising industry for a number of years as well. My very first online business that I was involved in was in the year 2000. So I've been around for a while. So I knew we could over-deliver for our sponsors to ensure that they wanted to come back. And they came back and they sponsored our next 4 events. So our next 12 months worth of activities, paying us another 5-figure sum. So that was really, really cool. So sponsors want to be associated with your message, your mission, what you're doing with the event. They want to be able to reach your audience, and they want to be associated with the mission and message. In other words, they're going to be sharing the event with their audience and shouting out that, hey, we're supporting this event. Here's a bunch of free tickets for our community to attend. So sponsors are great. They're paying you, and they're also spreading the message, adding a lot of authority and credibility to your event as well. Then you've got your speakers. Your speakers are speaking on a stage, hopefully in front of a large audience. I mean, if this was in person, it's difficult to get a few thousand people unless you're kind of hiring a stadium or a massive convention hall. So you can go out there and say, invite well-known speakers to be involved in your event, knowing that they've got a big reach. They're going to be speaking in front of a large audience. And we can even pre-record this. So you don't have to travel on a certain date to a certain location on the other side of the world to be part of this event as a speaker. We can pre-record this event anytime in the next 2 weeks, and I'll just release the recording of that video on the date of the actual summit or event that you're creating. And in turn, the speakers knowing that it's a collaboration event, we want to get as many people to watch your session as possible. We encourage them to share the event with their audience, and hopefully if that credibility is there with your event, they'll be excited to share the event with their audience. However, it's not required in my book and the way I teach it with my clients, but it's something that we encourage and that we want. Like, I love collaboration. I think, partnerships, joint ventures is just, the rising tide lifts all boats philosophy. And you can just gain so much more by partnering up with people or supporting each other versus seeing people as competitors, if you like. So that's the type of people we want to get involved in this collaboration project, this event. And then you're talking about media. You're doing a deal with them similar to sponsors, except they're not paying. They may be exchanging advertising instead of a monetary amount. So you're reaching their audience, getting support and authority and credibility by those brands being involved in your event. And then you've got affiliates who are people just happy to spread the word. And they may be Facebook group owners, LinkedIn group owners, followers on Instagram, TikTok, wherever that may be. So those are the collaboration partners being involved in the event. So if you just look at collaboration partners, you don't even need your own email list. You can start from scratch. You don't need any paid advertising at all when you're starting out. However, those things are great and it's going to help you be successful, but you don't need that. You can just use recommendations from your collaboration partners, and recommendations, as most small business owners know, right? Like, when you get a referral, they're most likely to convert into a client or a customer than any other source of leads. So this traffic, these referrals that are being recommended to you and your event are warm leads. And big thing about what we teach when we're running these events, when we're turning them evergreen, is we want to design them in such a way, design the journey and blueprint that journey so that we're getting customers and clients out of those events. So people actually buying our courses and programs.
Right. So you are getting $50K or whatever on the front end, but then you're selling a back end course or group coaching program or something that presumably makes you even more.
Yeah, that's right. I think even with our 90-minute workshops that we run, so we teach them, rather than inviting an expert to be involved in that event, you can be the expert. You're teaching and sharing your message within that 90-minute workshop. It's maybe a paid workshop, so you're qualifying people there, and maybe it's okay to have 6, a dozen, or a couple of dozen attendees for that event. And yes, you make a little bit of money selling the tickets to these events that I've been talking about. However, the profit, the higher margins are really made with selling or enrolling people into your courses and programs after the event. So just making sure when we're designing that event journey that our attendees are able to experience. By the end of it, they should be like, okay, Stephan, like, I know you, I like and trust you after this event. You've achieved this result for me during this event. So I know that you can get me results. I'd like to get more results. And I know you can get me results because you've proven that already. So let's talk about working together further to get even more results. What might that look like? That's where you're enrolling people into your courses and programs.
So you, as the host of the summit, are offering an invitation to the attendees to attend or to be part of your group coaching program, but not the different speakers' coaching programs or courses. Is that correct?
So depending on how you want to position this, but ideally when your speakers are coming and presenting at the event, it's purely sharing information. We don't want to make it a pitch fest. However, we've had some clients use our system to create events like that. And, depending on what your end goal is, that's fine. Maybe it is to make money from selling other people's courses and programs, and that's absolutely fine. However, most of our clients, they've got a high-end offer, high-ticket offer. Maybe it's a 12-month coaching program or a 6-month coaching program that they ultimately want to be selling. And that's why they're running either their workshops or their summits. So we're using the event to build an email list and build authority and credibility with that list. So they're seeing you speaking with these other experts during the event, not just one, but 30 of them, right? And you are that one consistent, being the host, being the interviewer during that event. So ultimately, they get to know, like, and trust you more, hopefully, all right, if they're the right type of people that you're trying to attract. They're spending more time with you. So they're jumping on your kind of like top of the list in terms of priorities and options for how they want to move forward. And then it's about just getting on the phone with them and having a conversation, or doing a webinar and positioning your offer in such a way that they can take that next step in the journey with you.
Mm-hmm. And with the example you gave earlier of the LinkedIn Success Summit, the initial ticket sale is $50K. What did you make on the back end with the courses and coaching and so forth, consulting perhaps, that you were selling over the last couple of years or however long you've been selling?
Yeah, so just two answers to that. The $50,000, just to be clear, we made within the 2 weeks really of the event going live. Since then, I've mentioned that it's Evergreen. So since then, just in terms of ticket sales, we've made way more than that since we've turned it Evergreen over the years, right? This is when we launched in 2015, so 6-7 years ago now, since it went live. At the time it went live, we did not have a high ticket offer. So there was nothing else that we could sell them. So I know a lot of our speakers at that event ended up getting a lot of clients because we didn't have an offer. And some paid us some commission for that, others didn't, and that was okay because we didn't really arrange that anyway. So it was nice of those speakers who did. So in terms of the high ticket sales off the back end, there was none, but we had 15,000 opt-ins just from that one event. And I still see now clients enrolling into our high ticket programs who first joined our email list by attending that very first event. And maybe they've attended other events and eventually they've ended up buying other programs. And I think that's the way it is. It's really about building trust and that relationship over time, so that when your client is ready to jump in and take that leap or take that next step in their business, you're there. The trust has been built and they're ready to spend their money with you.
Mm-hmm. And what happens when the information that's being taught in the summit becomes obsolete? Because LinkedIn has changed a lot in the last 7 years, and especially in the SEO space, there are new algorithms all the time and updates and shakeouts happening, and so the information may not be very relevant anymore.
Yeah. So if you are looking to turn an event evergreen, ideally you want the content to be evergreen as well, so everlasting. So as an example, maybe sales types of content may be relevant for years into the future, in terms of like, okay, how do I sell to someone face to face or over the phone? That hasn't really changed in a number of years. Copywriting, I still see some people referencing copywriters from decades ago. All right. So depending on your topic, if you do want to turn it evergreen, then ideally you want to make the content evergreen as much as possible. Because as you said, like, there are topics that will change, such as social media, SEO, where you're going to have to update the content regularly. In other words, maybe do an annual event. And many of our clients do that as well. So they do their event live, like they release it the very first time as the live event, if you like, even though maybe a lot of the content is pre-recorded. And then it's accessible on demand up until the next annual launch, where the new latest content is being released. So I'll give you an example. Carl, who runs our Migraine World Summit, migraine information, the data and knowledge around that topic changes like rapidly, almost, every week there's new information or new treatments that are coming out. So every year the content is brand new. However, we are still seeing people purchasing not just that year's content, but previous year's contents as well, because there's maybe specific speakers that they want to hear from, and they're thinking, okay, well, that specific topic, there has not been any updates in 12 months, so it still is the latest information. So they're able to purchase those past seasons of the event. So depending on what your market is and what your end goal is for what you're trying to do with your business, you can set it up and design it in such a way that it delivers that for you.
So how many clients do you have currently that are running these summits, workshops, and so forth?
Yeah. So over the years, and to be upfront about this, up until 2017, we were only running these events for ourselves. But by then, after 2 years of doing these events, people started just messaging us saying, well, you've built an email list of 100,000 people running just a few events. How have you done it? Can you teach us? So I put that off for a little while because I didn't want to be the expert. I was this collaborator. My idea really is like, bring in all these experts and you're the experts, and I can send you a ton of traffic. I was thinking, because of my background in media, working in media organizations, I just wanted to be that host, that media, versus being the expert. But as any good entrepreneur should do, you should listen to your audience when they're telling you something. Ideally, if you hear it enough times and there's enough demand, then maybe you should be creating that thing. So we pre-sold our very first online course, Virtual Summit Academy, teaching people how to run these virtual summits for themselves. That's now evolved into virtual events that sell, because we're selling both the larger summits, which are multi-day, multi-speaker events, all the way down to the other end of the spectrum, your 90-minute workshop, which is something really super simple that you're really knowledgeable about, that you're going to teach your audience. And really everything in between. So virtual events that sell is our online course, which teaches you how to run these programs, build these collaboration partnerships, these JV partnerships with your speakers, sponsors, media, and affiliates, to fill up your courses and programs. And yeah, as I said, like since 2017, we've had hundreds of people either become a client or purchase one of these programs from us.
And a client is somebody that's getting coaching from you or consulting from you?
Yeah, that's right. So 2017, we launched our very first edition of our online course. It's been updated 3 or 4 times since then, as we've added training on, well, how do I get sponsors? How do I get media involved? How do I get, the speakers? That was already in the first edition, but how do we do this in this new environment and better? Because there are so many virtual events happening now. Like, how do we stand out from the crowd? So there has been several editions of that. And then it was early 2020 when we released our first opportunity to work with us. So again, during our online course, we had a lot of people that wanted to hire us to create their summits for them, or help support and guide them on the journey of creating these events, turning them evergreen so that they're consistently generating clients for them and predictable income. And that's what we found as well. So we've been running the coaching program as clients since early 2020. But what we've found running this event for 6 years now, running this business now for 6 years, is that with the event business, like you run an event, it generates a ton of leads, a ton of money, and then, it completely disappears the next month until you run the next event. So we were going from event, launch to launch, and, getting tired from running launches and events is real. We were getting exhausted from doing this all the time. And it was in, I think, 2017 where we said, okay, let's see if we can sell one of these events that we ran, last year or even the year before. And we promoted it. It sold. Awesome. All right, let's package up another one of these events. Maybe it was the email marketing event. and let's try to sell that. And again, that sold. And we realized that, all right, this content is still in demand from people. People are still looking for results when it comes to these topics. So let's turn these events into on-demand evergreen events. In other words, they're accessible at any time, on demand for people. What that produces is a consistent flow of leads coming to the event. Those leads and prospects are warmed up as they get to know, like, and trust you during the event, building that journey in such a way that by the end of it, they want to work with you further. Because the event, maybe it's only a 90-minute period. So by the end of 90 minutes, they're like, okay, Stephan, how can we work together for the next 90 days or 9 months so we can get even more results together? And that's the type of conversation that we want to have at the end of our events. And if it works really well when we launch it the very first time, we've built the email systems, the funnel, the web pages, the copy, all the content's created, the delivery mechanism, the membership's all done. Why shouldn't we be selling this and make it available on demand for people? So we set them all up evergreen. So essentially your event turns into a mini course. You're then just packaging up that mini course and selling it on demand, so that there is that consistent flow of clients, bringing in a predictable income for yourself every single month. And asking me that question around, like, our clients, our coaching program, it's called predictable income freedom, because we've realized that not only do we want predictable income and time freedom, money freedom, right, financial freedom, but that predictable income freedom is something that many entrepreneurs want. And so that's what we're designing. Run these virtual events, teach live, package it up as a recording, sell that as a mini course, consistently drive traffic into that funnel, and out the other end, predictable income and consistent clients.
Do you have any clients that are making 7 figures off of this model?
Yes, we do.
That's awesome. Are you making 7 figures off of this model?
Yes, we are. However, like, it's been quite a journey. So it's when I talk about us making that kind of money, it's across. We've done now 17 summits. We've got multiple different workshops that we are that are out there in the world. Really, it's like it's a big dragnet of drawing in leads and audience based on wherever they're at or whatever solution or result they're trying to achieve. So I think if someone's realistic about, okay, I'm starting from scratch, I want to build a 7-figure business, we really need to look at, well, where are you at currently? What existing assets do you have in terms of email list and audience? Because potentially that predictable income freedom, that predictable income machine that we want to build for our clients, can take maybe several years to build, so you can actually completely remove yourself from the business.
Interesting. Can you differentiate for our listener workshops versus summits versus masterminds versus conferences? Like, how these are all different, right?
So many different ways to package things, and it's really, it's a name, right? It's just a package. It's the way someone's packaged something. So inside our members area, I've designed and gathered a list of all the different session types that could potentially be held at an event. What event? Well, it could be any event. You could be doing this at a workshop, a conference, a summit, mastermind, whatever, right? And a few of those different session types are interview style, like this, presentation, keynote, panel discussion, Q&A, right? There's over 100 of these that I've just listed out. So the way these events can be designed are almost limitless. Now, that means that if you're going to attend one conference and you think the next conference or summit is going to be the same, well, it shouldn't be, because there's so many variety of ways to package this up in terms of different combinations of sessions and session types and styles that each one should be a different experience, giving different results if people are doing it in the right way. So if you're thinking, oh, there's already an event in my niche, just do it differently, is what I'd say. And there's so many ways to get results for people, like via a workshop, via a mastermind, via a conference. But okay, to break it down and to really answer your question, so it's clear for people, because I know I've probably thrown a spanner in the works there. But a workshop, as I define it, is a 90-minute workshop. We call it a quick workshop win, where the client is getting a quick win in just 90 minutes. So they're actually creating a result for themselves within that 90-minute period. So by the end of those 90 minutes, they want to get more results and they want to continue working with you. So how do we work together for the next 90 days or 9 months? That's a conversation we want to have at the end of one of our workshops. And that can be just promoted for just 7 days. So it's something everyone here listening today could be running next week. Because it's teaching something that you're already really experienced and knowledgeable about, and you shouldn't have to worry about spending too much time creating the content. The time is spent marketing it and filling the room. So that's the workshop. The other end of the scale is the summit. The summit is where you're inviting guest speakers to collaborate with you and speak at the event. So in other words, they're providing the content for the event and you're hosting them and interviewing them in the most basic form. I've seen summits where it could be a half-day summit, or it could be a 1-day summit or a 3-day. I've run a 10-day summit in the past. I wouldn't recommend it. And I've done this to test lots of different things to see what works best, as we end up recommending and teaching this system to our clients. 3 to 5 days for a summit works really, really well. And a summit is just multiple speakers all coming into the one room, speaking on one specific topic, but multiple kind of mini topics, if you like, within the one overall umbrella topic.
And where does something like a challenge fit in? Because I remember Pedro Adao, he ran many challenges, like the 30 Days of Wisdom challenge, and that ran over an entire month. And he had all these speakers that he'd line up for that virtual event. And you mentioned earlier in this conversation about incorporating awards into an event to make it more prestigious and give a further incentive to the people who might participate in that way, submitting an entry and maybe becoming a finalist or even the winner, sort of thing. So where do those two models fit into what you're talking about, the challenges and the awards?
Yeah. Collaboration events, they work. There's definitely different ways to run them. Challenge is another. Giveaways is again another. The giveaway is super, super simple, right? You just gather a list of people, ask them to all contribute a gift or an existing product or course, and everyone promotes and everyone shares that list. And it's really super low work, but it's a collaboration event that we're running. There is obviously a host that does a little bit more work than the rest and is rewarded as such. So that's really almost the simplest form, and that's definitely a form of virtual event that we like to teach and that definitely our clients are doing. And then the challenge again is great because you're getting results for people. Just like the quick workshop win, we're getting them a quick win. Similar with the challenge, we're giving them a quick win almost every single day. So it's very similar in terms of philosophy and the strategy behind these events is that we're getting people results. We're building trust and authority with this list as we are building our email list, and we're leveraging our strategic partners to support us in growing our credibility and authority and growing our list to ultimately enroll them into our high-priced programs and courses.
What would be a price point that would be recommended for something like a multi-day summit versus a 90-minute workshop?
Yeah, so it's very interesting actually when you compare it like that, because the multi-day summit is maybe 20, 30 hours of content versus 90 minutes. All right. So is it 20 to 30 times the price? And the answer is no. Typically, we give a free ticket to the summit. It's a great list builder. That's what we're really looking at when we're thinking about these multi-day summits. And then people are able to purchase, say, the recordings of the event if they weren't able to attend all the sessions as they were released, because they're released only for a limited time. And typically those all access pass recordings, or the package that we're selling at the back of the summit, is priced anywhere between $47 up to $197. Just like an event, there's the super early bird price, there's the early bird price, and then there's the normal price. All right, so there are various stages to encourage people to take action and move forward. So the urgency, the scarcity, you want to throw them in there. Even giving like, okay, this price point, there's only 50 tickets or a dozen tickets available at this price point before they're sold out, and then the next price point is tickets are being released. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the summit. In terms of the workshop, typically I always like to generate and build our email list. So there is a free ticket element to that, whether that's like a checklist or a blueprint around the topic of the summit, so essentially the workshop. So it's essentially a lead magnet, or we're giving away the first 30 minutes of the 90-minute session away to for free for the free ticket holders. And then access to the full 90 minutes can be priced anywhere from $9 up to $150. However, this is in the model of we're building our email list. We're just getting these low ticket offers to identify people who are willing to pay to get a result on the result that we're teaching at our event, to ultimately make the profit, generate the serious income, right, with our programs and courses off the back end. So if we're not doing that and we're saying, okay, well, I want the event to be the money maker, then I've seen workshops in the hundreds of dollars, even up to $1,000, but sometimes they stretch out for maybe half-day workshops versus just the 90 minutes.
Is there a standout example you want to share of either of these two? I know you gave the migraine example, but any others that come to mind of the 90-minute workshops or the multi-day summits that are standout examples?
Yeah. So with the workshop, if anyone's interested in this, like we've done a workshop on workshops. It's called a Quick Workshop Win. So it actually teaches you how to run one of these workshops for yourself in just 90 minutes. So it's a 90-minute workshop on how to do these 90-minute workshops for yourself. So yes, it's very meta, but I think that's a great example because we've taught it once, we taught it live, then we've packaged it up Evergreen so people can access it at any time on demand. So that program, product, course, yes, it was a first released as an event, makes sales for us every single day and generates a lot of clients for us who want to run workshops and then go on to making and creating these bigger events for themselves. Because it is just 90 minutes. It's a simple way to get started.
Yeah, and that's what, there's a URL for that, I think, quickworkshopwin.com, is that right?
Exactly. So based on that funnel, if you want to see it in action, go to that URL, quickworkshopwin.com, and you'll see that there's a free checklist, a free download that you can get access to, which is our way of generating leads, building our email list, building our audience. And then if you decide, okay, great, this checklist gives me everything I need to do to be able to go and run this workshop, but I want to get it more in depth, then you can purchase the actual workshop on workshops, our Quick Workshop Win program, which is that 90-minute video training. And there's a little bit more in that. There's a few bonuses we've stacked on that to make it accessible for people. And it's at a really low price point that's accessible because we do want people to experience us, to understand whether people want to work with us, right? Am I the right fit for what you're trying to do and what you want to achieve? Are the results that our students and clients have got similar to the results that you want to achieve, then great, awesome. Let's talk about how that might work, working together, and maybe one of our courses or coaching programs is a fit. So you can just see how that funnel works if you check out that URL.
That's cool. So if I was, let's just say theoretically, I'm interested in becoming a client and I want to apply your model, either the summits or the workshops model, to what I'm doing. I'm thinking of a couple of examples. One being, I'm on the board of a nonprofit called Impact Network, and they do an annual event called Chefs for Impact, and it's in person. You have dinner that's served, prepared by these really extraordinary chefs in New York City, that many of them have their own restaurants and stuff. So this is a fundraiser, and people come for the food. They come to support the organization and the mission. The organization is building and operating schools in rural Zambia. And it's a really great mission. I've been on the board for, I don't know, 6 years now or something. So that's one idea, is to have a virtual event to either augment or replace Chefs for Impact, because it is hard to get people to attend in person because of the pandemic. Ticket sales have been a lot lower than previous years, as you might imagine. So that's example one, or potential use case one. And the second one is, I have another podcast called Get Yourself Optimized, all about spirituality and personal development. And I would love to put together a virtual summit around spirituality. And I have a lot of great guests that I've interviewed over the years who I would invite back to do this virtual summit. And this is outside of my SEO business and my agency. It's really a passion project. So it needs to not just be a money loser or a thing that I somehow fit in on top of all the other work I have already. So those are two use cases. I'm curious, what would you see as a way to implement your methodologies in both cases?
Okay, great. So one thing we haven't touched on is, which I think is a really crucial part of the success of these events, is when it's mission-based, when there's a cause behind what we're trying to do, it really does spread like wildfire, the way we design these summits. So if there's that mission and there's that passion, like when you called it passion project, like when there's that passion and community rallying behind a cause, it's the virality of it, like encouraging people to share and recommend the event, becomes so much easier. It's like, it's ridiculous the just that little difference makes. So every event that we run, we try to include, like, well, yeah, who is the enemy that we're trying to repel, and how are we going to try to rally the troops behind a common cause or against a common enemy, right? So whenever there is that natural one in place already, and non-profits obviously have this built in already, the ability to get existing attendees to share the message, share the free tickets of the event, becomes so much easier. So that would be one thing. So I love working with mission-driven businesses, because this, like, it's like putting a fire underneath this system already, because it just like helps it explode. So if you do have a mission-based business, and I'll give you an example of one that wasn't run by me, but one that's in the industry, the truth about cancer. Obviously, something that people feel very strongly about. Just to give you examples that people actually literally die from, loved ones are suffering from, and they need treatment, they need help. And there's constantly new data and information and resources, information becoming available. So this event, this summit, I think on the third or fourth year, the fourth iteration made $10 million. So just in terms of revenue from that summit, because of the virality of the nature of the mission-driven purpose of the topic. So I think if you can include that, anyone listening, into your business or into your events, then it is going to encourage people to bring along friends and share it with the world, which is what you want to do. And typically, to give you an idea, we see anywhere between 14 to 20% of our free ticket holders coming from a referral when we implement this. So that means 1 in 5 people at our events are being invited by someone else. So again, it's that whole collaboration approach of the event. We're getting referrals, which are more likely to want to continue working with us or take that next step or be involved in the organization, whatever that next step is for your attendees. Does that any questions on that section before I jump into the spirituality one?
No, that's great. I like it.
Okay, great. And yeah, in terms of spirituality, I think it fits into a similar basket in this case, where there's a strong belief or community already existing behind this, where we can encourage more and more people to jump in and be involved. One of our clients, well, actually, she was just a customer of our online course. Sarah, she ran an event very similar to yours in terms of the spirituality topic or niche. She had 18% of people refer a friend to come to the event. So 18% of her attendees were being referred by a friend. And I don't know whether I can share all the numbers or anything, but if you join in the groups, you can see that she has shared that. But it did really, really well. She's now become a client and is now running these more often, as well as evergreening her existing event, turning them into clients for her retreats, as well as her coaching programs as well. So there's a lot of impact I think we can make in these these mission-driven or based offerings that are out there. And I think they lend themselves really well to this system and this type of model.
Sounds like it. Very cool. So I know we're out of time. If our listener wants to take one of the workshops or attend one of the summits or learn from you directly through a coaching consulting type arrangement, where would we send them to?
Yeah, sure. So I think quickworkshopwin.com is great, because that's where you can find out about the workshop and how that all works. And it's free in terms of the checklist. And if you decide to take action on the others, great, awesome. You can figure out in depth how that all works. In regards to the summit, if you go to virtualsummitclass.com, there's a class on how to run these virtual summits. It's a 90-minute class as well, but it's set up in a webinar format. So if you decide you want to go more in depth, you can purchase our Virtual Summit Academy course or our Virtual Events That Sell program as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Liam. This was fabulous and inspires me to create my own virtual summit. So thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for inviting me on, asking these questions. You probably see I get all excited myself talking about this and all the possibilities that can come out of these events. Don't just, if I can leave a lasting message, don't just run the event one off and think, oh, it's done and now I've got to think about what to do next. If it works, if it made you money, it got you an email list, turn it evergreen.
Yeah.
Use those recordings, package it up as a course, and the first launch, when you do it live the very first time, it's your first launch. Every time, once you turn it on demand, there's going to be days, weeks, months, years into the future that you can tweak and change and improve that funnel so it converts even better for yourself and has an even bigger impact for your attendees, for your business, and for yourself. All right, so just run it once, teach whatever it is, teach it live, record it, and then sell it evergreen for that predictable income and consistent clients for yourself.
Good stuff. Thank you, Liam. Thank you, listener. Get out there and make a difference in the world. We'll catch you on the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.